Alright, number 1 goes back to order of operations. So some simple stuff to look at on that. Got to do in that parentheses first. So that would get you, I'm looking at it in the parentheses first there. Let me get caught up with you. 8 minus 5 times negative 24 minus 32 divided by negative 7 minus 7. So negative 24 minus 32 on the top is negative 56. Negative 56 divided by negative 7 is 8. So that whole parentheses is 8. So you're looking at 8 minus 5 times 8 minus 7. Now order of operations, multiplication comes next. So I got to do that 5 times 8. So that's 8 minus 40 minus 7. 8 minus 40 minus 7 ends up getting me negative 39. So that's all on my numerator. I haven't even written the denominator yet. It's the denominator, negative 22 minus 9 plus 32. Negative 22 minus 9 plus 32 gets you 1. So you've got negative 39 over 1, which is negative 39. Good? Ready to sit down, make it alone.
Okay.
Alright, on 2. We got 3s minus 10t, and it says to simplify they're not like terms, so you can't even do anything to it. So you can't simplify it. Alright, number 3. I've got negative 7 times 6z plus m. I'm told to simplify here. All I can do is distribute my negative 7. That gets me negative 42z minus 7m. So that'd be it for number 3. Okay. Now on 4, first one I actually have to write an equation on. So on 4, Walt's got some $10,000 that he got from a part-time job. He's making an investment. He's going to invest part of the money at 7%. 7% is 0.07. So 0.07 times part of his money. Then he's going to invest the rest of it, so he's going to add that. He's going to invest the rest of it at 9%, so that's 0.09. But how much is the rest of it? Well, it's what he had originally minus what he already invested at 7%, and that's going to get him a $780 interest payment. So now to start simplifying this, you're going to distribute that 0.09. So I have 0.07x plus 0.09 times 10,000, that's just 900. And 0.09 times negative x is 0.09x. Now you can combine 0.07x and negative 0.09x is negative 0.02x. And then I went ahead and subtracted the 900. That means negative 120. When you divide by negative 0.02, that gets you x equals 6,000. Now you got to be careful here because on number 4, that's a choice. Remember, he made 2 separate investments. He made one at 7% and one at 9%. He had $10,000 total. So if he made x equals $6,000, that's how much he invested at 7%. Then the rest of that, which would be 10,000 minus that, 4,000. Guys, let me quiet. 4,000 is how much he invested at 9%. Okay, so which one did it ask for on that one? Yep, you got it, Mr. Seth. And that should be C. All right, ready for 5? All right, on 5, we got negative 3 times 4x minus 7 is less than negative 15x minus 3. All right, now distribute your negative 3 over here. Negative 12x plus 21. Negative 15x minus 3. All right, you can pick anywhere you want to start from there. Zane and Joe, if y'all need to separate, y'all can.
Please excuse interruption.
The high school choir will be tardy. Please excuse them. Thank you.
I chose to start with the 15x. You can start anywhere though. So I'm going to add 15x to both sides. So that'll give me 3x plus 21 is less than negative 3. Now I don't have a choice. I've got to subtract my 21. So 3x is less than negative 24, which means x is less than negative 8. C and A both have negative 8 on it, but C goes greater than, and we are less than, so we would need 8. Page 2. Simple two-step one there on number 6. Everybody ready? Alright, we've got 4x minus 1 is equal to 7. Step 1, get rid of minus 1, so you add your 1. So 4x would be 8. Step 2, get rid of multiply by 4, so you divide by 4, so x would be 2. On 7. I go through the point 0, 4, so I'll be up here. And then I've got a slope of negative 1, 6. So I'm going to go down 1 and right 6. So I'd be a line going through those 2 points. So which one looks closest? You found one yet? Yep. Page 3. Yeah, Chris, you good? Thank you, Seth. All right, number 8 is the same type of problem. It goes through 0, 5, so it's got to go through 0, 5. And then this time its slope is 1, 4, and it's positive. So from there, I'm going to go up 1 and right 4. So it'd be going like that for number 8. Yep. Now, 9, it says, tell how many solutions the system has. You've got to actually solve. You could solve it if you want to, so I'm going to be that big of a deal. But since that second equation is solved for y, on number 9, I'm going to solve the first equation for y2, for y as well, so then I can compare them. Okay, so the first equation says 3x minus 9y equals 6. So I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. So that'll give me negative 9y equals negative 3x plus 6. Now my y's being multiplied by negative 9, so I'm going to divide everything by negative 9. So that gets me y equals negative 3 over negative 9 reduces to 1/3. And 6 over negative 9 reduces to negative 2/3. So this is what the new equation would look like if I solved it for y, the second one. The first one, the other one already says the exact same thing. Y equals 1/3, x minus 2/3. So these are exactly the same equations, which means they have infinite many solutions if they're the same equations. So that'd be 8. Now number 10, we got another system that we actually have to solve it, find the 2 solutions. Hey.
It's the pet package.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. They probably got even other ones to go with that too. Like, yeah, they're pretty good. Y'all do get you for right there. Alright. Number 10, I got 3x plus 2y equals negative 3. And then I got 2x minus y equals negative 9. So if I'm going to solve this, I'm going to use elimination. Looking at my x's, I can make 3 and 2 both be 6, or I can make 2y and y both be 2. That would be less work since the top one's already got a 2. So I'm going to keep the top one like it is. It starts with a 3x. I'm trying to write the wrong thing. 3x plus 2y equals negative 3. I'm going to have to multiply this whole thing by 2. So that gets me 4x minus 2y equals negative 18. Now my two y's are different signs, so that makes this an addition problem. 3x and 4x is 7x, negative 2y is nothing. Negative 3, negative 18 is negative 21. Divide by 7 gives you an x of negative 3. Now there's two choices that have that, so I need to go ahead and plug that in to solve for y. Doesn't matter which one you plug it into. I'll just plug it in that top one. 3 times negative 3 plus 2y equals negative 3, so that's negative 9 plus 2y equals negative 3. Add your 9. 2y equals 6. Divide by 2. And y is 3. So we add x, y. Page 4. Alright, what's the powers on number 11 in descending order? Descending just means highest to lowest. So you look at that function they gave you there, and the highest power you see is a 5. The term that goes with the fifth power is a negative x. So you got to put negative x to the fifth first, and there's only one of those choices that has that. Okay, now number 12, you had to read real close. That doesn't say find f times g. Remember when we did those in class, y'all read, some of y'all thought that was funny to say fog. That says f of g, so don't get mixed up and think you're multiplying there. That's that little function notation. Say what, Chris? I didn't. There was only one of them that had negative x to the fifth first, so it had to be that one. But, bless you. Alright, so it says find f of g of 3, bless you. So I'm going to take 3, and I'm going to plug it into the g function. You always start on the one on the inside first. The g function says x plus 7, so that would be 3 plus 7 is 10. Then you take that, what you got there, and you plug it into the f function. The f function says 6x plus 4, so that's 6 times 10, which is 60, plus 4 is 64. Alright, on 13. Factor completely, that's a difference of cubes. We've had lots of sum and difference of cubes here lately. Difference of cubes. Yes, sir. Let me finish writing that. All right. Okay, no problem. Difference of cubes. Cube root of x cubed. Cube root of 1,000. This difference of cubes says a minus b times a squared plus ab plus b squared, 10 squared. So that'd be it. $14 is probably the one that took me the longest on the test. The ones that we did in class, because we did a couple of those paddle boat problems, it's almost, Jones, you're about to draw me nuts. The ones that are, the paddle boat ones are almost exactly like 14, except instead of the paddle boat ones, it took them the same amount of time, so you set them equal to each other. This one with the jets says it took them a total combined time, so it turns into an addition problem. So it already took a long time with big fractions and making a table. It's fixing to take even longer to get common denominators with fractions. So this one, it's a little bit. You're reading the problem there about the jet going with the wind and against the wind. So I made my table be with the wind and against the wind. It's always distance and rate and time. Okay, you read there, you go 1,200 miles with the wind. So there's your distance for with the wind. Then you turn around and you go 1,000 miles against the wind. The rate of the wind is 50 miles an hour. So you get x plus 50 there, and x minus 50 there. So far everything's just like those paddle boat problems. Here, time is distance divided by rate. So 1,200 divided by x plus 50, and 1,000 divided by x minus 50. Now what I was saying earlier is on those paddle boat problems, then we just set those equal to each other. But not so on this one, because it says it took the flight a total of 4 hours. So we got to take with the wind, add that to against the wind, and set it equal to 4 hours. So 1,200 over x plus 50 plus 1,000 over x minus 50 is equal to 4. So now we got to get a common denominator. Be the product of those two, right? X plus 50, x minus 50. So I'm going to multiply this whole thing by x plus 50, x minus 50. So when we go to the 1,200, the x plus 50 will cancel out, so it'll be 1,200 times x minus 50. Then when we go to the 1,000, the x minus 50 will cancel out, so it'll be 1,000 times x plus 50. And here's what first period missed. When we go to the 4, nothing cancels out. So it's got to be 4 times both of those. Okay, let me simplify all this on the left first. Distribute the 1,200. So I got 1,200x. 1,200 times negative 50 is minus 60,000. Distribute the 1,000. 1,000 times 50 is 50,000. So now let me go ahead and clean this before I go to the other side. 1,200 plus 1,000, that gets you 2,200x. Negative 60,000 plus 50,000 is negative 10,000. Okay, now over here on the right side, you got to FOIL this and then distribute a 4 to it. So when you FOIL that, that gets you x squared minus 50x and plus 50x cancel out. So then it's just minus 2,500. And now you got to distribute that 4 to it. So this is going to be equal to 4x squared. 2,500 times 4 is 10,000. Okay, now what was somewhat friendly on this is if you start moving stuff around, when you add 10,000, that cancels itself out on both sides. So those are gone. So you just have 4x squared equals 2,200x. Okay, so now to start solving that for x, you could factor an x out. So if you just divided all that by x, that would leave you with 4x equals 2,200. And then your last step to solve for x is just to divide by 4. And that finally got you 550 miles per hour. Like I said, that one took me the longest. Alright, what about 15? What'd y'all put on 15? D is correct. Good job on that. They're not only numbers greater than negative 3, because that dot, dot, dot means it keeps going. So it can't be A. C, it doesn't include anything past those, so it can't be it. B, a natural number, is only positives, so it can't be it. D has got it. All positive, negative whole numbers. Good job. Alright, 16. I got 2x plus 4 times x minus 6 is less than 6x minus 9. So first thing I did here was distribute my 4. So I got 2x plus 4x minus 24. And then I had 2x plus 4x, so that's just 6x. Okay, now something's looking fishy to me right here, but I'm going to go ahead and keep solving. So I'm going to subtract 6x from both sides. That cancels itself out, so that's nothing. Negative 24 is less than negative 9. So I just got to decide if that's a true statement or not. Is negative 24 less than negative 9? Yeah, so yes, that's right. So that means there are infinite many solutions when you get a true statement. If that had been a false statement, it'd have been no solution. Page 5. All you got to know how to do on number 17 is give June a number, because it says what order pair XY gives the approximate sales in June of 2006. So the month is across the x-axis and they're in numbers. January is 1, February is 2, March is 3. What's June? What number month is June?
4.
That's April? 6. So it's got to be 6 comma something. There's only one choice that has that. Dang it. All right, number 18. Got to remember a couple of terms on it. And these were kind of tricky words for us. It says the graphs of two linear functions that are neither parallel nor coincident intersect in how many points? If they're parallel, there is no solution to that.
They're not touching that.
Because they never touch, right? I wrote a theta symbol. Parallel has no solution. If it's the same line, it has infinite many solutions. Your other option, lines that have one
Please excuse
solution.
interruption. I need all NYAC members to the office. Thank you.
So if where it tells us in the problem, we're not parallel, so it's not no solution, and we're not coincident, that's infinite, then we got to have one solution. It's funny that they put 2 on there. There's no way that lines can intersect in 2 points. They wouldn't be lines. Try to draw lines that intersect twice.
Seth didn't get 16.
It was C, infinite, because it was a true statement. Seth, let me go back and show you that.
16 and 6.
Oop, I think I went too far.
Mark it up.
Right there, because we got a true statement on that. Yes, negative 24 is smaller than negative 9. That's how come. All right, ready for 19? Is that where we were? All right. 19, all we had to do on it was remember our negative power rule. Negative power goes on bottom and becomes positive. Solved by factoring gives you negative 2b squared plus 50 is equal to 0. So first step is to take out a GCF at negative 2. That leave you a b squared b squared minus 25. Divided all by negative 2. Now negative 2 is a dummy answer, because if you set factors equal to 0, negative 2 doesn't equal 0. So you don't got to worry about that anymore. Just got to factor this binomial, and that's difference of squares. B plus 5 times B minus 5. If you set both those equal to 0 and solve, that's pretty simple stuff. B plus 5 gets you negative 5. And B minus 5 gets you positive 5. Alright, 21 wants us to tell if that scenario would be a direct or an inverse variation. So you've personally got to remember what the difference between a direct and an inverse is. Direct is always written as a multiplication. Remember we did those K's actually just last week. Inverse is always written as division. So the scenario, it says the number of hours worked by an hourly worker and the amount of her paycheck. So if you told me that you worked 8 hours and your paycheck is going to be, say, the number of hours worked by an hourly worker and the amount of her paycheck. So her paycheck is going to be equal to however much she gets paid times how many hours she works. So that would be a multiplication, which means it would be there. Okay. 22 gives you just the numbers 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Asks you to describe those. Does that include all the integers between 7 and 11? No, because between 7 and 11 wouldn't be 7 or 11, so it can't be A. B says irrational. Irrational numbers are numbers that keep going on forever with a decimal. Those don't have decimals in them. C, an integer between 6 and 12. Would that include all the ones between 6 and 12? Yes.
Let's see.
Are you all right? You get caught up, Seth? Got it? Okay. Last page. All right. Bag of marbles has got twice as many blue as green. So if it has G green, it's got twice that many blue. So I'm going to take the greens and double it. This says my bag has at least 12. So G and 2G would be 3G. So divide by 3, and G's got to be at least 4. So we're going to have at least 4 greens. You could have got that just using common sense without writing an equation. So, it'll work. All right, 24. Brady could be annoying. 24.
That ain't me.
You were the one that was annoying. 24.
Being annoying.
Through that point and has the slope of that, we got to write an equation. So it gives me a y-intercept because 0, 2 is a y-intercept. So I'm going to start off with slope-intercept form. Okay, so that would be, my slope is -7/9. It gives me that, and my b is 2. So I'm going to start off like that. But all the choices are in standard form. So I need to start moving some of this stuff around to get it in standard form. So I'm going to move that -7/9x to the other side. So I'm going to add it. So 7/9x plus y would equal 2. So that's pretty close, but now none of the choices have a fraction in it. So I need to get rid of that division of 9. So I'm going to multiply the whole thing by 9. So here the 9's would cancel out, just be 7x. Here that would make it 9y. And then here 2 times 9. That's it. Alright, that last one, number 25, I did all of that in my calculator. Remember when we did the 3 by 3 inverse matrix in our calculator? So I'm going to write through the steps that I did, but you might need to practice it before your test again if you've forgotten. The shortcut way that first period taught me to get the matrix menu up was I get alpha, and I need to grab one, alpha zoom. That brought a matrix menu up, and I need a 3 by 3. Okay, so in that first row, I'm going to put those coefficients on that first equation. And that took a while because they were fractions, so I had to hit alpha y equals every time to get the fraction. 1/3 x, 1/6 y, -2/3 z. 2. And then I had the second row, -3/5 x, -1/3 y, and -1/5 z. And then on the last row, I had a 1/2 x, 3/2 y,
3/4.
and then 3/4 z. So then once I got all that in, then I moved my cursor to the outside of the matrix, and then I picked the inverse button, which is that x to the -1 power. It's over there on the far left. Then I had to get my answer matrix in. So I had to go hit alpha, zoom again, and pick a 3 by 1 matrix, and put my answers in, which would be -1, 3, and 13. Then I hit enter on that, and then it looked crazy because all of the answers it gave me were decimals. My choices were fractions. So I had to push math, and then you hit enter to convert them to fractions. And it did end up being -347 over 29, so you can check them and try them. 384 over 29, those are just some ugly 29, some ugly fractions.
It's my guesstimation, correct?
And then -34 over 29. And somebody in first period wanted to know why they put those like a bracket and a parentheses. See that on the choices? I have no idea why they did a brace and a parentheses. I don't know.
It's not what you're getting.
All right, everybody got what you need? Good?
You good, Chris? Joe Fire?